Morning, sir.
How are you, Mr. President?
How are you, sir?
How is the
How's the campaign? Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
We must learn to live together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Martin Luther King Jr.
It's Good Friday, and many are of the opinion that the public holidays come in handy given all of the stress that the presidential election brought. Fortunately for broadcast journalists that needed most, we're back here on your screen. Thank you for staying with us on Core Digest Friday. It's about time to find out what the top stories are on some of Nigerian newspapers. And I'm joined on set today by the former NBA chairman, Ikeja branch, Barrister Monday UBANI. Thank you very much for finding time to join us today.
Thank you. How is your holiday?
They say the change that Nigerians clamored for is eventually here. Quite historic. What are your thoughts along that line?
Well, we actually anticipated this. We fought for it. We prophesied it. We prayed for it. And also we worked for it. And it's like it's becoming a reality. The electoral system is being sanitized, to a large extent. Which has now produced leadership that is actually expression of the majority.
Before the election, did you actually believe that it was going to happen, that the incumbent president would lose for the first time in Nigeria?
To be sincere, the handwriting before 14th of February, the postponed election, was very clear that the incumbent would have lost if that election was conducted on that. But it was this 6 weeks extension that gave the ruling party some leeway to maneuver and reach out to some level of personalities all across the country, that really created some doubt as to whether the opposition could, have won. But 2 days to the election, some of us started making prediction that it seems that the opposition will still win in the light of the reality on ground, because people were still not impressed with the last minute effort that the government in power was making in terms of tackling insecurity. And the question was, if you could tackle insecurity within 6 weeks, why did you have to waste almost 4 years? Are you saying that the equipment you are using now was now imported within these 6 weeks, and then you are now using it effectively? And then the issue of giving out money, people are wondering, that money that should have been used for infrastructural development, you are now giving it physically to people. That wasn't too it became clear that people collected the money and were also ready to still vote for the opposition. So predictions were made that it's likely that the opposition will still emerge as the winner, and it came out. But it wasn't too landslide. I mean, by way of large vote, 12 million plus, 15 million plus, not too much a landslide.
I see. Let's look at the front page of The Guardian this morning. The top story here, Jonathan has written his name in gold, says APC, ready for a viral constructive opposition from PDP others. And other stories here, we have learnt great lessons, says the PDP. That's on the front page of The Guardian. What is paramount to us is the survivor of our democracy, the unity, peace and progress of our dear nation, and the happiness of all our people. Nigeria is bigger than any political party, individual or group, and our overall interest must be our priority at all times. We want to find out details of the PDP's position. Of course, there's a transcript of the conversation between Mr. President and the President-elect. It was reported that President Jonathan called the President-elect even hours before it was formal, before the victory was formal. We'll also have the audio. I'm sure we'll play it to you before the end of the show. And you can get what it was like for Mr. President to have called the President-elect General Muhammadu Buhari. Two other stories on the front page of The Guardian. Nigeria's historic election just proved the world wrong. That's on page 3. Equities sustain rising profile on the exchange. That's on page 4. Nigerians have set new standards for democracy, says the US. You get details of that on page 6. However, the count is still on. 354 days after the abduction of the over 200 Chibok girls. I believe Nigerians will expect that General Muhammadu Buhari bring them back now that he's been elected. But let's talk about the new political formation. It looks as if suddenly overnight the opposition party became the ruling party. And let's just quickly take a brief look at what would happen at the National Assembly. I understand the APC has the majority seat
Of
now.
the senators, yes.
And of course, it looks as if it's the same thing at the House of Representatives as well. And many are beginning to do a lot of political calculation. Who becomes the speaker, of the House, who becomes the head of the Senate, given the fact that the South and the Southeast seem to be in the PDP minority in the House. What are your thoughts along that line?
Well, concerning the leadership of the both chambers, it is actually a constitutional provision that it is the choice of the membership that determines the headship. In other words, there is no input from outside.
Okay.
If the members collectively decide that this person is going to be the speaker, this person will be the Senate president, it becomes the choice of the membership. Now it's a different ballgame when they're elected. That removal is no longer, anyhow, it has to be followed constitutionally also. And so if now that the South and the Southeast of the majority political parties are excluded, that the Southeast has no APC senator. So the permutation was that the East they would have gotten the Senate president, and now there is no single senator that was elected on the platform of APC. I think we can re-engineer politics more by saying, well, since you have zoned that particular position to the Easterners, whether it is APC candidate or PDP, yes, it's engineering.
You're saying that there's no legal restriction?
There's no positional provision that says the speaker or the Senate president must be from the majority political party. It's not there in the constitution. It's not there. Rather, it is the membership that chooses that leadership. So there's nothing wrong now for them to come together and say, no, we must not deny this position to the Easterners. Even though they didn't elect any APC member, you can also poach even from the PDP. Someone like Ekweremadu that has been there as a deputy Senate president can be looked at,
But how really does that work?
Even though the people are saying that he can defect, that he can defect to APC now, that he's free, since he has won, he can defect and cite, some problem within the PDP, citing the tearing of the card by Obasanjo, that is part of crisis, and then, even those times they defected also, that is a crisis within PDP. That is why, but if there is consensus added them, among the entire, nobody will go to court over it and say, we know the reason why he's defecting, because the Igbos must get the Senate presidency. So he can defect to APC and then, come in and probably be made the Senate president. That's my thinking. I mean, I'm saying that they could also forgo the show political party and elect somebody even from here, yes, who is an Igbo.
But such a person would just be a PDP by name, because you probably cannot do anything against the interest of the party that elected you as the president of the
I don't know what you mean by the interest of the party. I think the interest of Nigeria should be paramount in any political policy. That's my thinking. The moment you elected into a political office under the platform of a political party, I agree. But when you get into everything you now do, the paramount interest now should be that of Nigeria and Nigerians, and not your political party. Well, yeah, you have to protect your political party, but where there is inconsistency between the interests of the political party and that of the nation supersedes. Right. That is my thinking in all this. I may be wrong, but I think that is the correct position. So I think that the interests of the country at this point in time, since our balance is delicate, the Nigerian, we are yet to be a nation. We are yet to evolve as a nation, and that's why we are using all this patch method, permit my language, in order to hold our unity together. Nigeria is not yet a nation until we really have an understanding of what it takes to be a nation and agree to live together, which is the major thing that the new government has to do. The issue of agreeing that we want to stay together and restructure Nigeria to run efficiently. Nigeria is not running efficiently. There is no agreement for us to stay together, and that's why you see all this agitation. It's our turn, it's our brother's turn. After the Northerners now, let it be for the Easterners and all that. If anyone comes in at any point in time and gives Nigeria good governance and make sure that every group is taken care of and everyone enjoys what it's supposed to enjoy in Nigeria, I tell you, this year of it is our turn we die. A natural death. The moment you come in and restructure Nigeria for efficiency and allow the federating units to be very autonomous and then run their economy and then pay a certain percentage to the federal, I tell you that nobody will be interested who becomes the president.
People will no longer.
Yes, all this agitation. I want to be a governor. I want to be with that. When there is proper monitoring of it and strong institutions. But as long as we allow stealing to go on unhindered, as long as we allow government that is so porous and institutions that are weak cannot control, all these organs of government, everyone wants to die to be in government because when they get there, they become instant millionaires. Are you following me? When you become a governor, immediately you elected a governor, the system is so porous, you have unhindered access to the treasury, and you do whatever you want to do with the treasury, and nobody checkmates you. The institution like the House that's supposed to checkmate is not doing its duty. The security agency that's supposed to investigate and prosecute is not doing their duty and all that. That's why everyone wants to die to be there.
In the case of further defection from the PDP to the APC,
yes,
given the consistent history of the average politician in Nigeria, are we not eventually going to have the same picture as it was when PDP was the ruling party, where much of the power now lies in the hand of the ruling party, and then the opposition is just struggling, struggling to, and then they just becomes dogs that can bark but that cannot really bite.
My advice to the politicians is that democracy thrives very well when you have a very strong opposition, and that's why we are so happy when all those political parties that couldn't muster enough strength, to confront the ruling party came together, under a strategic plan of Asiwaju. You must give it to him, for he was one that had that dream, and then, and they all agreed. And today we are having a change of government because of the strength of character of the people who came together and said, no, we must allow democracy to thrive, and it thrives where there is a strong opposition. It took the current president 6 weeks to show that he can perform, because it was very clear to him that he was about losing election. And within the 6 weeks, if you count what President Jonathan has done in 6 weeks, he couldn't have. He didn't do that within 4 years. That means that strong opposition is very key. I will advise politicians not to engage in this mass defection to APC. They should rather rebuild the PDP, re-strategize, and ensure strength of character, and then allow credible men to be in their political party. PDP had a lot of problems. The issue is that when primaries are conducted in PDP political party, as a political party, they manipulate the process. They don't allow the triumph of the people. I participated in my Abia state where I saw manipulation by the present governor, George. Because he wanted somebody to succeed him who will be a stooge, he manipulated the process. I saw it. There was no delegate election, and even at the primaries, it was pure manipulation, intimidation. He used the army and police. I was an agent to a candidate, and so we should not allow that. If you begin to do that, you're losing the moral to even sustain yourself as a very strong opposition.
That's on the
I
part
love what APC did. Even while they had the primaries and all, and there were disagreement, they remained very cohesive. Nobody left the political party, and that is why they remained that cohesive and united to give a good fight to the ruling
That's
party.
on the part of the politicians. How do you expect the electorate to react to the result of this election, especially as we count down to the gubernatorial and state house of assembly election? Many are beginning to talk about a possibility of having the electorate follow suit, along the line of presidency. For instance, in Lagos, the biggest challenge for Lagos has been that they've not been at par with the federal level. Do you see that impact the decision of the electorate at this
Very
time?
brilliant question. The point is that even I heard that the current candidate of PDP, that is Mr. Jimmy Agbaje, was even saying that it is a long time Lagos State has been in the opposition with the federal. That is not healthy for them to remain in opposition. If he said that, that clearly can be used against him now. Because there is an IPC government now that will be formed at the federal level. Will it be wise at this juncture for Lagos, to be in the opposition? Now, Lagos is a commercial and economic nerve center in Nigeria. Almost everything revolves economically in this particular state. Lagos does not have a special grant as a former capital city. It does not. And that's why you can be on hold up in Lagos for almost 4 or 5 hours going to work. And when you are coming back, you spend average of almost 3, 4, 5 hours coming back to, from work. And then there is no, there are no roads. Other means of transportation is not there because there's no special grant. And there's influx. People keep on coming into Lagos in such large number, and you don't have the money to take care of infrastructures and all that. So Lagos to be in opposition at this juncture will not be too wise for them. They need a government at the center that will actually grant almost everything they need in order to expand the economy and make Lagos State to be one of the biggest and the finest, state in, city in the world. And so I think that Lagosians may likely gravitate towards APC.
If every other state follows suit, wouldn't that be having the opposition going into extinction and oblivion?
I didn't say that every state,
No, I'm just assuming that.
There are states where the PDP are very strong. The structures are on ground. What makes you to win an election is issue of structure. If you have a very, strong structure on ground, I mean membership and all that, they, will ensure that the candidate of that political party is brought back to power and all that. Now, it's only when you don't have strong structure. In Lagos here, APC has a very strong structure. Even though there was a very big fight that was given to them by the opposition, and that is the PDP, because of the love some of the people have for President Jonathan, and because of the collateral damage that he used 6 weeks to inflict, on the opposition, because he was practically in Lagos. The president almost was practically in fact, the PDP shift their decision into Lagos. There was clear invasion, and I tell you, with the 100 and something thousand difference, tells a story. Tells a story that if not for God, PDP was about taking Lagos State. PDP was about taking Lagos State. So they did collateral damage, with their presence here. But for governorship, it's going to be a different kettle of fish. There are those who were so enthusiastic to vote for the presidential because of President Jonathan. Now that he has lost, they may not be too keen in coming out on Saturday, in 2 weeks' time. Are you following me? Now, that enthusiasm has actually waned. So they may not. But there are those who have a stake in Lagos and who will, no matter under sun, under rain, they will be here, in order to ensure, having taken a look at what APC has laid down for Lagos State. Now, it's not one day plan. They have planned for Lagos up to 2025. There is issue of an airport that they are planning to build in Lagos, an international airport in Lagos under an APC government. There is issue of free trade zone in the island area that is being planned.
There's a light rail.
There is a light rail. So these are long term. This that can only be actualized if you maintain consistency and continuation. Now, if you allow any government to come in, it can truncate all those good plans you have. And then Lagos need that rail system. Lagos needs further expansion of the roads. The 4th mainland bridge they are planning has always been in this, but they need money. Now that they are going to be, with federal government, the federal government can give the loan or give them whatever support they need in order to ensure that thing is actualized and reduce, this. And then governance will get to the Alemosho area. Let there be more roads. You cannot concentrate governance only in Island and sometimes in Ikeja. No. There are many hinterlands in Lagos that needs to be developed, and this is the time for Lagos, in the best of time, to develop all those infrastructure.
You agree that there's strong opposition, especially from the result we saw from but would you say all the electoral value that JK has is embedded at the federal level?
No, well, JK has a good electoral value. He's somebody that I know personally. I've sat with him several times. He's a man of integrity. If not for the fact that he was not given a chance in APC structure, JK being in PDP, I will tell you that ordinarily as a human being, he won't like to be there, because knowing the kind of person he is. But he has no choice than to be there, and the people also surrounding him also, he had no choice, because without them he couldn't have even emerged as a candidate of PDP in the first place. So he's a man that has good value, electoral value. But it's beyond his person now. What is going on now is that something as a movement, that this change we want effective change that will affect my life and your life. Are you following me, sir? JK apart, coming in as a new candidate of a political party that is different from the government that is in power, there will be a truncation of some of the policies that are already in plan and all that. That is what I'm saying is beyond him. As a person, he's a fantastic human being, a man of integrity, loved by all. You know, he ran one of the most robust campaign when he contested with Fashola, or I mean with Tinubu, and even under this dispensation, he's running also a beautiful campaign. But it's beyond him. So the issue is that people have to look at long-term, benefit of having Lagos to be, what we call APC compliant with the federal, and then beyond. So it's clearly beyond him. But he's a good man. He's a very good man.
Let's move away from the Guardian. I believe that April 11 will tell us more, and then we'll find out which electoral value is actually higher between because now it's just beyond Ambode and Jimmy Agbadi. It's now a function of the PDP and the APC as well. On the front page of the Nation this morning, Jonathan stops PDP's bid to contest Buhari's victory. The writers here, President to name transition committee on Tuesday, Osinbajo likely to head APC's team. And you have an interesting front page picture on the Nation. The kidnappers' den on fire yesterday. You see a secret well inside the kidnappers' den, and then you have an underground apartment inside the kidnappers' den. Ajimobi urges peace over Ibadan den of kidnappers. Police vow justice. So Inka, let's forgive Buhari. PDP's monopoly broken. Court dismisses Omishari's appeal. Arabeshala's election upheld. And then you have the shape of the 8th Senate, 101 men, 8 women. You get details of all of that on pages 2 and 3. But it's obvious that from the table you can see here in Kano State, APC having 24 for the House of Reps, none for the PDP. Now let's talk about the move by Mr. President to stop PDP's bid to contest Buhari's victory. Prior to this time, PDP was of the opinion that it was going to court. Would you say this is indeed a right step in the right direction for the PDP at this time?
Well, when the president congratulated Buhari, he graduated from a local statesman into an international statesman.
I see.
He became a subject of discussion all over the world. All over the world. In fact, President Jonathan was not known internationally for all the 6 years he's been in power. But I tell you, even in local village in Alabama, it has been said that there is one African, head of state that congratulated his opponent after defeating him in election. So that shut him up. And that also now reminded me that he said when he came to the bar conference of the lawyers in 2012, that he is the most vilified, he is the most criticized president, but by the time he leaves office, he will be the most respected, the most praised, and the most adored.
I see.
So when he said it, we were laughing and saying, which this man that is clueless, in what way will he be adored? I never knew that God has this, man proposes, God disposes. You know that God had a plan for this man. He could have scattered this nation, he could have refused that congratulating Buhari, but that singular act that God once again came into his heart, and he did the right thing, that shut his personality up. And so he's no longer a citizen of this country. Sort of. He is now an international citizen. Now, having done that, if the PDP wants to go to court, and he is now saying, look, gentlemen, at the end of the day, we know the court process concerning this election. It was a majority decision. Even if there are irregularities, the irregularities are also even in PDP and even in APC. At the end of the day, the court will look at political equation, look at political indices before even reaching the... It's not purely legal now. The other considerations comes in.
I see.
So at the end of the day, we'll go and further disgrace ourselves, and then even reduce the rating, reduce the reputation I have attained by even congratulating my opponent. Because you say, congratulations, you won the election. So if all of them are saying congratulations and you have won the election, what are you going to go and contest in court? It won't be like Fayemi now. Fayemi that say congratulations to Fayoshe. All of a sudden, the following day they went to court. So that really diminished that particular behavior that some of us are seeing as something that is highly commendable, that is creeping into our political culture, that Nigerians can congratulate because Nigerians don't accept, even when it is very glaring that you have lost an election. So I think that if the president can succeed in advising the hawks, within not to go to court, that will be another elevation for him. That will be another praise for him. But if they decide to go to court, there is no problem. It is a judicial process.
That's right.
It is where there is a wrong, there is a remedy. No one should stop anyone from going to court. But at the end of the day, mark my words, there is no court in the land that will disturb this election.
But
that will ever not uphold this election as the mandate
given by the
expressed
people.
by the majority of Nigerians.
We can't shy away from the irregularities that we experienced during the polls, especially with the challenges experienced with the card readers and some other logistic problems. The INEC chairman already came out to say that he wouldn't accept any renewal of his terms. But given the processes, some have said that it's quite we can acknowledge that there is some level of improvement from what we had in 2011 and 2015. Would you say that it will be right for Jega to opt out of the process this time? Do you believe in that system improving without the personality of Jega?
No, the system can be improved upon. No one is indispensable. I must acknowledge the feat that Jega himself has achieved, in sanitizing our electoral system to a certain extent, especially with the usage of card readers and then the PVC. Especially the PVC, and then the issue of accreditation before voting. That was why in the East they didn't, there was no much rigging, in the East, with all kind of over bloated figures. The PVC now has known how many people that got PVC, so you cannot come and say 3 million the way in 2011 election. So PVC has succeeded in doing that. So I must give it to Jega, but there were some irregularities. Now, but what the Electoral Act emphasizes is substantial compliance.
Okay.
If any person that has emerged the winner has substantially complied with the Electoral, Act itself, I mean, in terms of the vote and regularities, it will be difficult to disturb it. And if you're alleging crime, in the electoral process, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
That's right.
So the processes it's very complex. And so, but if there is substantial compliance, then there is no need of disturbing the election or the victory of any of the candidates. So INEC chairman has done his best. It is not easy. If you look at his hairs, they become even more gray, and then he's looking older because of the stress, because of the name calling, because of the abuse. You saw how Rubebe wanted to embarrass him, but see how he applied his Jegamacin tablet, which is now, if you have any issue of tension in your body, if you take Jegamacin, you have your entire nerves will cool down. So the man used wisdom, and all that. So it's enough for him. Let him go back to his family. He has done enough. And I think it's better you leave when the ovation is always very loud. And this is the loudest ovation in his life. He has attained a career, the highest of it. People are even now saying that he can even contest for presidency tomorrow. And so why would he now want to mess it up, by remaining and Beverly at the end of the day, he, further dent his image. So I think now that he's leaving will be with the loudest ovation. He has done well, but we can do better. There was so much logistic problem in this election that took place, and I think he will improve upon those logistic problems in 2 weeks' time. We shouldn't have a situation where the electoral officers will come late. We shouldn't have a situation where the card readers will not work.
That's right.
Where did they even buy the card readers from? That's the question. Is it from China or from which country? Why is it that was failing all over the place? And it didn't fail in the northern region. So these are issues. So we must make sure that this time around this thing must work.
Let's go to the Punch newspaper very quickly. The top story here: PDP leaders, candidates meet over April 11 polls. Party accepts defeat, congratulates Buhari. And the front page picture shows terrorists kill 147 students in Kenya University. That's on page 56. INEC ensures officials corpus for 1.99 million naira each. Ladipo market boys as thugs attack traders. You get details of that on pages 16 and 17. The French president calls Buhari, invites him to Paris. That's on page 3. What Jonathan told Buhari on the phone. Buhari's victory, will of God, says Tompolo. Pages 8 and 13. Polls, Tinubu, Atiku hold talks. You can get details of all of that on page 12. Power brokers who will lose influence after May the 29th. That's on page 11. There's a lot of talks about inclusive unity government, especially in the face of having the opposition taking full charge of governance in Nigeria. What do you foresee that will impact positively on national development? Would it be, do you foresee this new administration bringing people from the other party to work with them at this time?
If there is somebody in the other party that is very intelligent, that has the technical know-how in running a particular ministry, and he can do it well, I don't really mind, because first and foremost, the person is a Nigerian, and it's all about, for the sake of this country and all that. We must all think Nigerian, and we must try as much as possible to do Nigeria better. The local balance, language we speak. So I think anyone that is found, good, competent and capable of running a particular ministry, no matter where he's from, bring him in. But we must also be careful not to bring people that will also sabotage our effort. Very, very key. I follow you, sir. You must also ensure that you bring in people that love this nation, that are very patriotic, that want to ensure the success also of Nigeria, and not of their own political party or selfish interest. I don't really mind bringing somebody that has the technical know-how in running a particular ministry, even if it's from a different political party.
There are certain issues that APC clamored on during the electioneering process. They talked about the economy, they talked about insecurity, and of course they talked about providing employment
and corruption.
Corruption.
Yeah.
The corruption issue now is being talked about, at many public discourse, because the president-elect at the time had said that he would focus on corruption from the day he comes to office.
That's right.
Now, many others are saying, what happens to the millions or billions of naira that have been stolen before you came to power? What do you think should be the focus at this time?
No, the focus of the government will be, one, as I rightly pointed out, when it comes in, all the loopholes have to be completely blocked. This issue of impunity, this issue of looting, will have to stop.
Okay.
Fine, so that you can free the money in order to develop the infrastructure. But that does not in any way, without prejudice to the fact that there are some issues he has to look into, because history is key. There are some areas, that the government has actually done some certain things that may not be too right, and there's nothing wrong in taking a look at them and setting it right. There are many sectors that the government has to look at, but he's not going with a mindset of witch hunting. It's not going with a mindset of, I want to implicate and then, send somebody to prison. Now, what I would advise is that if there are places where money has been stolen and the man is ready to return the money back to the treasury, it's play bargain. Do a this and let him return the money and all that. Then if they have all the money, I'll let them go and bring the money and return back. But not that we'll forget all the looting, all the stealing that, because he has, no, he didn't say so. He says from now onwards, we have, first and foremost, all that to stop, so that we can free the money in order to develop infrastructure and make the people to begin to enjoy governance. We are all Nigerians. I don't know what I have really claimed to enjoy as a Nigerian. I'm over, I'm in my 50s. I don't know what I can claim. Right from primary school, it has been a life of struggle until where I am now today as a lawyer. The same thing now for my children. And I don't want them to continue struggling that way. They must come to a country where the country can basically provide some basic things. How can I be paying 1.7 million as school fees in this country? I'm not talking about abroad, here. In Nigeria, a university 1 year, and then all our universities are are there, and they're not nothing is there, nothing is happening in them. So we want to restructure our educational sector, our health sector, almost all the sectors, so that Nigerians can begin. You walk into a hospital that is functional, and your disease is diagnosed, and you know what you are suffering from, and then you are healed, and you feel so happy that you are part of this nation. There are many things that we should enjoy, but we're not enjoying. The money remains in the hands of only few. You see, the annoyance is that only less than 10% controlling 90% of the resources, whereas 90% of the population are living in abject poverty. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. That's why the world is so happy with what has taken place. The French man has invited our president. What's wrong with you people as a nation? You have so much resources and you are living in penury and poverty. They cannot understand. Sometimes they say, what kind of people are these? And you cannot effect the change yourself. You want us to come and change it for you? So for having done what we have done, that's why they are very happy with us as a nation. And I think they are ready now to work with the world, but the new government has a lot to do. They must be people friendly. We must still they must give us their phone numbers. We can send text message. The way Fashola, you can send text message and you get a reply. They must not be far away from us. Aso Rock should not be closed. Only few people will have access to Aso Rock. Are you following me? The other day I saw Oshibajo in radio station and all that. There were no security men, there were no army. I went and shook him. He said, I'm my chairman, sir. He was introducing somebody, that's my chairman. I want to see my vice president and shake my hand with my.
I hope that accessibility will still be there.
We can't see them. If you see the kind of security surrounding ordinary local government chairman, he can't even pick your call any longer. I want to send a text message to President Buhari And then somebody will reply me, and this is my complaint, that in my remote village in Awomuku, that the road, they have awarded the contract, but somebody is not doing anything, and someone will reply me, something is going to be done. That is where, I feel happy that I'm receiving a response from the government that I participated in electing. I stayed awake till 3 a.m. for my own result to be counted. Just for my own single vote, only one vote to be counted, to make sure that it matters. And then before this election, if somebody gets there and he doesn't remember you again, he doesn't care about whatever your needs are. What kind of government is that? It has happened for how many years? 1960 up to date. I will say enough of all that. We want government that will be closer to us and answer us when we cry.
It's all right. Let's talk about the challenge of continuity in, government projects and policies. That has been a major challenge, even within the PDP. We've seen successive governments abandon certain lofty ideas, that have been institutionalized by the previous administration. What way forward? Do you foresee the APC government indeed being magnanimous in victory at this time?
There's no question of being magnanimous. It's a question of priority of interest. What is paramount for the nation? If there is any policy any government has started and is for the benefit of the people, is it not sheer wickedness? Are you not playing the devil if you not come and stop it? If not for corruption, because they feel, the contract has been awarded and money shared. let us also leave this one and award a new contract where we share money. It's corruption and which this man Buhari has said. You don't know why Buhari was elected. It's the face of integrity. That is the main purpose, not because maybe he has intellectual prowess or is economically savvy. That's why even whatever committee is setting up, somebody else is going to head it and all that. But because of what the man believes in, I am contented with whatever I have. A man that has only one house, with all the positions he has occupied, only one house, not in Abuja, sir, in Daura, in Katsina. Such a man is a man we need. Because he's not interested in what money at this age. I don't need all that. Not men that will be stealing at the age of 80 when they are very close to their God, So he's saying, let us use Nigerians' money and work for the interests of Nigeria. So what they will do is that if any project that this government has started that is very, very good in the interest of the people, why will you stop it? Like the Almajiri, the educational stuff that was inaugurated, the power sector that has been this and another, is for us now to look at it again and know whether the right thing was done and then continue, because power, as long as it remains in the public hands, will not have power. But if you give it to people who are efficient, the way they are divested from the telecom, and allow people who are competent enough to run the telecom, that's what we're enjoying today. But you now give power to people who are not competent, no track record, they just share it among themselves, and that's why you and I remain that. And they are charging you. The annoying thing about this power stuff is that every month these guys will bring bill of 20,000, 30,000 naira for giving you darkness. So they are now using, that's another 419, obtaining from the people. The same people that have been stealing your money is now stealing from the people directly through using government property that belong to you and I, which they have allocated themselves. So that's why something has to be done about the power sector. Because within 2 years, if this man is also unable to solve the power sector, we get angry. Because I expect to have almost 18 hours of light in my house. I want to have a light, sir, in my office. I come back, I want to write as a lawyer. The AC is blowing my head, and my brain is, not when I'm there, I'm so hot. I come back home, mosquito is dealing with me. Then why would I be happy with the government?
We have to wrap up this segment now, but how long do you expect Nigerians to give this new administration before we start kicking?
100 days in office, we want to see some level of development. I'm not telling you, because it doesn't take much long to know the direction of government. Let me give you an example of a man that came in, somebody like UBANI of Abga in Anambra. I think within 100 days in office, you could identify visible thing the man has done. I know that the nation is so big, but if within 100 days we cannot see the direction of this government, we get angry, we get agitated. We want to see within 100 days. That's why the assembling right men, the way Tinubu did when Tinubu came, before he was sworn in, he assembled the right caliber of men, thinkers, strategists. They start, this is area we identify, and this is area. By the time you come in, you now start running. This is the first time a president that wants to be a president of Nigeria
truly desire
and fought for it 4 times. All others is either somebody will be sitting somewhere in his this and another bedroom. Somebody will just call you that you come and be the president, or you're unwilling. They don't, what? So in fact, Obasanjo was asking them, what did I forget in the house? You're asking me to go. I mean, in Aso Rock.
Let me take this call.
Yes.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Core Digest.
Hello.
Yeah, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mr. Paul.
Paul from where?
I'm calling from Lagos.
Okay, please go ahead with your contribution, Paul.
What happened is that I am very, very happy the way election happened in Nigeria. And I do appreciate the way our presidents do hand it over without any problem and without any crisis. Then what I'm saying regarding the man in the studio, he said we are going to have light. Buhari has promised a lot of food. Shibanjo said they will be cooking food, they will be doing this. I'm suggesting that we should support all these things. We should stop all these things at this moment and we watch them. And watch them. Let's see what they are going to do. Let's see what they are going to offer to Nigerians. We are watching.
How long?
This is that it's not because of good luck. Had it been the opposition lose election, this country would have been in fire. But good luck has proven to the world that politics in Nigeria is not a matter of do or die affair. I am happy for that man. So we are now watching for Buhari and Sivanjo to deliver what they have promised.
It's all right. How long exactly do you expect Nigerians to sit down and watch this new administration, Paul?
Personally, I am giving them 2 years.
Okay. It's all right. Thank you very much, Paul, for your contribution from Lagos. Paul thinks that 100 days is too small to...
No,
watch
if you
out.
hear him, he's angry that his candidate lost. It's not as if he's... so let's watch and start watching. Let's watch them. Nigerians must begin to set agenda anyway. If he wants to start watching, let him keep on watching. But Nigerians are now saying these are the areas we want this government to address. And the earlier they start,
The better.
get started, the better for them. We don't have much time, to really waste, for anyone. Any government that comes in now, Nigerians are highly impatient. And as I said earlier, this is the first time somebody who has actually desired to be in that position has actually gotten the mandate. All others never in any way anticipated it. And so since you know why you want this position, then you must start to work immediately.
That's right.
We're not saying that within 100 days you have to fix it, but the direction of government must be known. It's very, very clear. I give you Obiano. Within 100 days, we know the direction of the government.
Hello, good morning. What's your name?
Good morning.
Yeah, what's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Mr. Wilson Ekeleme. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Please go ahead, Mr. Wilson, with your contribution.
All right. I am just glad for the Nigerian project. And we have been looking forward for it, and it has come. But what we are saying at this time is, like your guest here on the studio, I know him very well. We should also be on this side to help them to come out with practical steps. Because this time Nigerians are looking for practical things they can easily connect with.
That's right.
Not words, not how we do. Sense. As our new government have come in and they are able to reduce the large overhead in governance. For instance, the big money that members of the House, do sponsor and bring them down. Let people easily see that these things are implementable. Then fine. Then on the area of maybe power and the other things, it is not difficult to fix these things.
Exactly.
These days we've understand that technology in the area of refinery, because the people down here in the Niger Delta who refine crude in the creek, they don't use a large space. It's just a very small thing that they put together and they are refining. So if we as a nation confront this challenge, how would this improve technologies that can refine our crude locally? We'll see that we'll spend less. Nobody will be spending the hard-earned money of this country in importing fuels and subsidizing those who are important. Who are those important? If our new government can, this Nigeria can easily I know you are Pastor Monday and a brother to late Benson Ekeleme.
Oh,
you know him very
okay,
well.
yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you're in Port Harcourt now. Okay.
Good to have you call in, Wilson. Good to hear from you. Let me just get your a summary on all of these issues before we let you go.
Yeah. So what we're saying is that it's not rocket science to solve all this problem. Yeah, I just mentioned the share refinery. You know, it doesn't require much. You know, you don't require big this and all that to refine these things. Even the power itself, that for how many years, for over 16 years, we've been spending billions and billions, if not for corruption, would have gotten it right. And so if you now come with a man that says, look, I'm averse to corruption, get the right caliber of men. You see, you can get this thing done. Look at, when you go to Akwa Ibom, if you see the kind of roads that are constructed in Akwa Ibom, the man say, I'm not interested in this, in all this corruption, get all these politicians to come and, you know, construct. I want the best. If you go, those roads will stay the way the British, you know, constructed, and it lasted up to 20, 30 years. He got the best in Akwa Ibom. You know, if you go to you and you see roads, you know, I want Nigerian, any person that comes to and say, get me the best hand. Who is good in this? Who is good in this? Get the and they are bound in this country, sir. Get them to do certain things, you know, running, and then watch them. People who are without corruption. When you work for government, there is no way you will stay hungry. But must you now steal everything? What they do is that they steal 90% of the money, and then the remaining 10% they don't even use it to do anything. So get men that love this nation. Get men that fear God. There are men that fear God and know that one day they will appear before Him to answer. To run this country, we can, you know, fix our light, we can fix our roads, so we can fix our refineries. And that's why I say within 100 days we must know the direction of government. Not that you solve all the problem, but we must know where is this government going. He came in 2 days ago, and then the stock market now, you know, went with 90 billion in a day. The naira appreciated over dollars, and not just, he has not been handed over. You know, if people begin to see the direction of government that this man is serious, and then, you know, if before you know it, the economy will, you know, rebound. Right. And a lot of the SMEs, you know, small scale industrialists, you know, we begin to bubble the economy. You know, when they are working and infrastructures are in place, Nigerians are in employment. I tell you that even those who are abroad will be coming back to Nigeria. We welcome them, and then it become difficult to get visa to come to Nigeria. I'm just telling you.
Thank you very much for finding time to join us. Barrister UBANI is the former chairman of MBA Ikeja branch. Joined us today on Cool Digest. We'll take a break, and when we come back, the phone lines will be open to take more of your comments and contributions on the show. Don't go away.
Morning, Mr. President.
Morning, sir.
How are you, Mr. President?
How is it?
How is the campaign?
We must learn to live together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Martin Luther King, Jr.